and welcome to Storytime with the Deschutes Public Library. I'm Miss Ericka, and today I'm sharing a retelling of Jan Brett's The Mitten, which is based on a Ukrainian folktale. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Nicky, and Nicky's grandma, Baba, wanted to knit him a new pair of mittens to keep his hands nice and warm when he went out to play in the snow. So she said, "Nicky, what color would you like your mittens to be?" And Nicky thought long and hard about it. And he said, "I want mittens that are as white as snow." And Baba said, "Well, Nicky, if I knit you mittens that are as white as the snow, what happens if you drop them and you can't find them?" And Nicky said, "I still really want white mittens." So Baba knitted him a brand new pair of beautiful and white mittens. And she said, "Nicky, when you get back from playing outside, I'm first going to make sure that you're safe and sound. And second, I'm going to make sure that you still have your mittens." So out Nicky ran, and sure enough, as he was running out the door, in the snow he dropped one of the mittens that his Baba had knitted him. And he kept on running, he didn't even notice. But who did notice was a curious mole that was tired from digging all day. And he saw the mitten and thought, this is a wonderful place to take a rest. So in crawled the mole, and he burrowed himself deep in the mitten. Next, a rabbit hopped along, and he first stopped to admire his beautiful fur, and he said, "Oh, I'm getting kind of sleepy." And he noticed this mitten and thought, what a wonderful place to wiggle up and make myself cozy. So in he went with his feet first. And the mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but he saw those big kickers and said, "Well, I guess come on in." Next, a wet and shivering hedgehog came by, and he saw the mitten, and he was so wet and tired from digging for food under wet, cold leaves all day that he thought the mitten was the perfect place to get warm and to feel better. So in he went. Now the mole and the rabbit were not fond of having another person come join them, but they looked at those spikes and didn't dare say anything to him. Next came along an owl, and the owl was very curious. He was attracted by all the commotion that he heard, and he saw that mitten and he thought, this is a great place for me to investigate. So in he went, and he found himself a spot. Well, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog definitely didn't think there was room for one more, but they looked at that owl's talons, and they didn't say a word. Next moseyed along a little badger. Now this badger eyed the mitten, and he thought, well, that's curious that this mitten is here. But it was getting to be very, very cold outside, so the badger said, "I think I'll stay here and see if it warms up at all." So in went the badger. The mitten was getting quite full at this point, and snow was starting to fall from the sky. And along came a beautiful fox. And the fox caught sight of the cozy mitten and thought, this is where I'm going to spend my evening. So in went the fox. Well, all the other friends in the mitten didn't really want the fox in there, but they looked at her sharp teeth and zipped their mouths. Along lumbered a bear. Now this bear was very, very sleepy. He was sleepy, and he's not one to be left out in the cold. So he found a way to move into the mitten and to carve out enough space for him to lay down and take a rest. The other animals were not a big fan of having the bear, but who would argue with the bear? So the mitten started to swell, and it started to stretch. It pulled and bulged many times its size, but Baba was a great knitter, and it held tight. Along came a sweet, tiny little mouse. It was no bigger than an acorn, and the mouse scurried in the mitten and found the only place left that she could rest and curl up and fall asleep. And that was on top of the bear's nose. Well, the mouse's whiskers started to tickle the bear. And he had to sneeze. And away flew that mitten, and all the animals were scattered about in the snow. On the way home, Nicky caught a glimpse of something. He saw his mitten in the snow, snatched it up, and carried on his way. When he got home, Baba first made sure that he was safe and sound, and second, made sure that he still had his snow-white mittens. And he did, even if one was a little bigger than the other. Thank you so much for joining me in story time today. I've had a lot of fun sharing a retelling of one of my favorite stories, and I hope to see you next time.